YouTube, 7 Shoguns here. So Gamescom has come and gone, and there was some more Final Fantasy 15 information, some more updates and news, and some more gameplay, so we're going to be going over all of that. First thing first, I just want to get it out of the way. The game has been delayed. Yes, everyone knows about this already. It is, everyone's been talking about it. As of August 15th, the game was officially delayed. Hajime Tabata came out and actually announced the game was being delayed until November 29th. He actually released a video on the Final Fantasy 15 YouTube channel talking about this. What he says is that the master version of the game has been completed, so they basically the final version of the game, and they will be showing a 30-minute gameplay of this at Gamescom. He also said that even though the game has been finished, he felt it wasn't at the best possible quality that it could be, and so they're actually working on a day one patch. Now, the one thing about this is they were going to release a day one patch, as the game came out, but they decided that they were going to just delay the game instead because some people out there may not have access to internet, or may not, for whatever reason, may not be able to play the game with the patch on launch, so they'd be playing a game, a version of the game that isn't finished. So he decided to just go outright and delay it. I think on one hand, I think it's really cool that he's came out and just said it. I definitely respect him for making a video to the fans, just saying, look, this is what's going on, this is how it is, the game's being delayed because we want to have the best possible game possible, and that totally makes sense. I totally get that. However, I am kind of worried though, only because, this game isn't just for Final Fantasy fans. People that are Final Fantasy fans, you're going to buy this game regardless. Like, the game's going to come out, and you're going to buy it. But the game is also being targeted for more of the mainstream audience, for people that aren't big Final Fantasy fans. And the problem is, before, when it came out in September, they were kind of in the sweet spot where the game was coming out before a lot of those big releases that come out towards the end of the year, and people who haven't spent their money on that stuff yet may have actually decided, you know what, I might get this game because there isn't a lot that's out right now. However, now the game's going to be coming out after Call of Duty has come out, after Battlefield has come out, and it's also coming out after Black Friday. So a lot of people that may have done their Christmas shopping during Black Friday or gotten these big games may have already spent their money, and so now they no longer have the money to even spend on 15. So we'll have to kind of wait and see as far as how this will hurt them or help them regarding the financial sense. But at this point, it kind of is what it is. Alright, so moving right along. Tabata wasn't lying. They actually did release a gameplay demo for Gamescom. They released a 53-minute gameplay. So I have a lot of work to do, so let's just go ahead and dive right into it. As the demo actually opens up, we see the intro of the game, and at first we see a character turning, and I thought this was just going to be young Regis at first. It looked like it was Regis. His hair kind of looks similar. He has the same jacket on. But as the gameplay goes forward, we actually see Prompto and Ignis, and it's kind of like, wait, what? Why would they be there? And at one point, Ignis outright just says Noctis, so it kind of confirms that this character has to be Noctis, right? It's kind of hard to say right now because we don't know if we're seeing an image from the future. One of the fellow YouTubers, Final Fantasy Peasant, actually has a theory on this about maybe this is actually a dream sequence where we're seeing Noctis dreaming about his dad, and so he's projecting sort of him and his friends where his dad and his friends would be. So it's kind of hard to say what's going on. I think right now it's too early to speculate or make a genuine call. One thing I will say that's kind of interesting is this is the first scene of the game, and I just want to question why. Why is this the first thing you see? The first thing that developers wanted to see when we play this game is this scene, and I just kind of question what the significance is of that, what this scene means for the overall rest of the game, and how it's going to impact us. So, as the game opens proper, we see the four main characters broke down on the road. Looks like they've run out of gas, or the car just isn't working right now. We see them push the car towards Hammerhead so they can get the repairs for the car needed, and we kind of see the banter between the characters. As this game has been described as kind of like a road trip movie, four characters really spend a lot of time bonding, and you get to know what they're all about and why they're all friends. So expect a lot of that more in the future, and this is kind of setting up that. Looks like the characters actually do make it to Hammerhead somehow, and we get introduced to Sydney and Sid, the mechanics of the game that will be helping you with your car. And is it just me, or does Sid sound like Landon Ricketts from Red Dead Redemption? One thing I want to point out here as well is the graphics just look fantastic. Looking at the characters actually talking to each other, and sort of the way their hair kind of blows in the wind, and seeing the way the light hits their skin, this game just looks freaking awesome. We also get a good look at the menu and the map, which are two things I don't think we've had an extensive look at so far. Looking at the map, it does look pretty big. The area right now we are in is called Lead, but if you actually zoom out, you can kind of see the rest of the map. Duscae being a region right next to Lead, and also to the very far right looks like the actual city of Lucis. One thing we can also see here is that as Noctis and crew go into the diner, you actually will be able to get information from them, which will update your map with various places like camps and things like that, which is kind of cool. It's kind of how you update your map so you kind of know where you're going. Of course, they also have food, which will give you buffs you can eat that'll help you throughout the day, and then also too, the diner actually gives you monster contracts. Now this is something we'll see later on in the game as well. This seems to be one of your primary sources of income, as you'll be getting various monster contracts throughout the game, and that's how you'll be, leveling up. One of the things we also see here, as Noctis goes back to talk to Sydney, we also see that there's multiple dialogue options, which this was a pretty big surprise to me. I didn't think we were gonna have multiple dialogue options in this game, and I'm kind of curious now to see how those dialogue options will actually affect gameplay. If you say something a certain way or say something a different way, does that in turn give you different rewards or bonuses for that character? And one of the big things revealed here is you actually get to finally see the level up screen, or I guess the sort of level up tree we'll be using to gain new abilities. Now this uses AP points, which is different from experience, and we'll get into that later. The screen overall, design wise, kind of reminds me of the level up screen from Final Fantasy X, or even the one from Final Fantasy 13. One thing to note here though is that there's multiple branching paths, and as you level up each node, the next node seems to become unlocked. On the left side of the screen, you can see that there are also menus for the other characters, so I'm guessing you'll be able to also go into their node screens and level them up as well. It's kind of hard to tell though if everyone has the same AP pool that they all pull from, or if they'll all have separate AP points that they can use differently. One last thing from Cindy we do see is that she does say, beware of going out after dark because it can be dangerous, as there are demons out there. And we'll be getting into that later, as we do see Noctis and company running into one such demon, and it being overpowered as fuck. Now, before getting out on their first mission, Noctis and company go out and prepare by buying some items and buying some new weapons. And this is actually our first time we get to see the gear menu, where we get to see Noctis and company and how they actually equip said weapons to them. One thing to note that's kind of cool is that weapons and stuff do increase stats and change attack value, health, all that. But one thing I didn't expect was actually changing your clothes does actually affect your stats. It's not just something that's for aesthetic value. We see here as Noctis takes off his jacket, his health goes down, but his attack value actually goes up. So that's something interesting to keep in mind, that as you get new clothes, not just looking stylish, they also do affect how your character overall is actually stat-wise. So as we get into combat, the combat overall looks mostly the same as it was in episode Duscae and the Platinum demo. Noctis flips around and jumps around using, looks like, the directional buttons, and you can hold down circle to attack, or you can mash it just like before. And then the 4 face buttons are the different weapons you can use. This is all stuff we've seen before, but it's just kind of cool to see it finally realized in actual full game. At the end of the battle, we do see sort of like a grading system, which I think was there before in the episode Duscae, but it had a different design to it. But this time we actually can kind of see clearly what your grade is in defense, stealth, and offense. And I'm guessing, the better you do. So if you get A+ in every single one, you get more experience per battle. One thing to note here as well is they actually added button prompts to press when to defend. This is something that I think is pretty good. I probably get annoying after a while, but it's actually kind of good in the beginning, because I know when I played Duscae, it was kind of hard to know when to block and defend, because enemies would just fly at you coming from off screen. This way now you at least can kind of get a better sense of when to defend and when to dodge and everything. Maybe as the game goes on, that'll probably go away, but at least in the beginning it does help you a lot. Above the sort of weapon wheel on the left, there is a green bar which has L1 next to it, and this bar does slowly fill up as you and your friends are fighting your enemies. This will come in handy later, as this is sort of the bar you use to tell your friends to do certain commands. It looks like it just kind of levels up as battle goes on. It might be caused by damage, but it's hard to say right now. So eventually Noctis and crew actually run into a guy at a shack, and you decide to help him and defeat the monster that's been plaguing him. And for your reward, you actually do get a magic flask for choosing to help him. And this flask is basically what you'll be using to store your magic in. So in this game, magic isn't inherently from the character. It looks like what happens is you actually will find these stones or just random things in the world that will have magic sort of imbued in them, and you can absorb the elemental energy from them. So in the example we see here, we actually see Noctis absorbing fire magic off of the stone and then lightning magic as well. So how this works is you actually can craft magic from this energy and another item. So like for example, if you take a potion and take fire energy, you can actually craft a healing cast fire spell. So it casts fire and also heals you. So that's actually kind of cool. It's kind of interesting to see the different combinations you can come up with. The combination they make here is dual cast. So when they cast it, it actually casts the fire spell twice. I'm kind of curious to see if you'll be able to cross create different magics together. So like for example, can you fuse fire and ice and make some kind of fire ice spell, or can you fuse fire and lightning together? I wonder if that's how you'll be able to make like your meteors and your holies later on in the future. So upon taking that request, the characters do decide to actually camp for the night. This is very similar to how it was in Duscae, and Ignis will actually make food. And so here we get to finally see the menu where you get to decide what food you want to make. This is just based off of, I'm guessing, the recipes that Ignis knows at that time, and also the ingredients that you have currently in your inventory. As we see here, that different foods will actually give you different buffs and bonuses, so you can kind of plan out what food you want to eat, and maybe even decide what monsters you want to kill that day, so you can have the same buff every single time. We also see here that experience is still cashed in after resting. So basically, you fight monsters, you get experience throughout the day, and then once you actually decide to rest, that's when you cash in all of that experience at once and actually level up. We see from before that you gain techniques and things via the AP skill tree, so I'm guessing leveling up with experience points just kind of increases overall stats like strength and health and everything like that. One thing we also see is as each character levels up, they each have their own little special sort of technique or ability that levels up with them. Ignis has cooking, Prompto has photography, Gladiolus has survival, and Noctis has fishing. So it's not really clear exactly how those level up. I'm assuming the more you do those things, the more they'll level up, but it's kind of curious to see, for example, how does Gladiolus survival stat actually help you guys in the future. So once the gang is all rested up and they've done camping, they actually go and take on the level 2 Bloodhorn. And this is where we get to see a showcase of the special techniques that your friends can pull off with the L1 button. So it seems like how this works is as you guys fight throughout the battle, that green bar I mentioned earlier will rise, and there's 3 levels to it. And so each character has sort of special technique you can use by pressing L1 and the directional button, and they all consume, it looks like 1 bar. It'd be kind of cool to see if as the characters go through, they can learn more techniques that might cost more bars, maybe when that's like 2 or even all 3. But right now each one kind of has their own unique ability. We see here that Gladiolus has a Tempest move, which is the move that Noctis had in the Duscae demo, and you can also follow up with that by pressing the circle button. We also see that Prompto has one which is sort of like a guard break, it looks like, and then Ignis has one which allows you to warp to the different points and targets that he sets out for you to do. And like I said before, you can also extend each one of those moves by doing a succession afterwards or pressing circle. So Noctis and crew defeat the Bloodhorn and then decide to actually go complete the other bounty they got before heading back to Cindy. Here they showcase that by hitting targets from behind, you can actually do what's called a blindside attack. Basically, it's like a typical attack from behind type thing where you do more damage. What's really cool though is it seems like you can also do blindside links with your actual partners. Now, I can't really tell what's triggering this, if it's just you attacking from behind and then as long as you're within proximity of one of your friends, it automatically activates. But we see here that Noctis and Gladiolus together do a blindside link to finish off that last deer looking thing there. One thing I will say though is it is pretty cool, and I do kind of want to see all the different combinations that you can have, as it seems that different weapons that your characters have can determine which blindside link they actually end up performing. So with that, Noctis and crew are able to actually get the car fixed. They come back to Sydney and they actually have the car nice and ready for them. First thing that happens is Ignis asks you if you want to drive or if you want to allow him to drive. And this is kind of cool. You can actually drive the Regalia, or you can allow Ignis to do it. And I like this because it kind of adds to the immersion. Having Ignis drive, so you can kind of look around and see everything. He'll also park for you when you get to certain locations. But one thing the game notes out to you is that Ignis will not be able to drive at night. At night is when the demons come out, and I'm guessing, Ignis isn't down for that, so you have to be the one driving. Again, we see more of that banter between the characters. Again, just kind of settling up the relationship between them, and further establishing this is more of a road trip type experience from the 4 characters. As they actually arrive to Galvin K, that's where we see Ignis parking the car, and again, like I said, it just adds to the immersion, sort of really believing you are in this world, and everything is kind of happening. Once they arrive, however, we do actually meet Arden, and he seems to be, people are saying, the main villain of the game. It's kind of hard to say what his motivations are, as he does appear to be helping you, but again, I won't speculate into that right now in this video. We do see here it may be a common theme between all diners to actually have monster hunts, as well as food and then the information. So again, just further establishing that one of the main sources of income in this game will probably be going from diner to diner, getting food, getting buffs, and also getting the next group of monster hunts you can do to kind of increase your income. As Noctis and company actually go on this hunt, one thing we do see is that by killing these monsters here, they actually are getting fire energy, and so you can get this elemental energy not just from the stones in the world, but also from killing certain enemies. We see later on when Noctis and crew fight some Imperial soldiers, they actually are getting lightning energy as well. The gang is sent out to get these elemental gems and rubies, and they ended up running into this giant bird creature, which is the bird creature we saw from the Afrojack trailer. It seems purely contextual. It doesn't look like you can actually fight the bird, so I wonder if it'll reappear later. I'm guessing it has to, otherwise it's kind of like why this is here. However, all is not well in the world of Final Fantasy 15. We see as they are sitting in their hotel room, they learn that the city of Insomnia has fallen, and that they decide to go back home to check in on their dad and their kingdom. However, by the time they get there, Niflheim has already invaded, and they can't actually get into the city, so they have to find a way around. However, it isn't that easy, as Noctis and crew run into some more Imperial guards, they have to start fighting them. The one thing to note here that I did notice is that it looks like on the right side of the screen here, you can see Ignis is analyzing, which at first I didn't know what that was, but then right after here, Noctis readies his fire spell, and we actually get sort of an info box of the enemies. So I'm guessing this is sort of like a scan or a Libra, and Ignis can actually scan the enemies for you, and then once you aim at them, you can actually see that information. As we head into chapter 2 of the game, the gang is told by Cor Leonis to actually go to one of the first royal tombs. This is where you get one of your first royal arms. Now it looks like these are going to be the arms that end up making the Armiger, which was a special move you had in the Duskai demo. Now, one thing that's kind of cool is that once you actually get these arms, you can actually use them in combat. Cor does reveal to you that there are 13 tombs in total, so I'm guessing they'll be the 13 weapons you'll be using at the end of the game. We also see Cor decide to actually join the party as a way to sort of test Noctis as well. And my guess with this is that Cor will be joining you in your party in and throughout the game, just as sort of another party member, but I'm kind of curious to see if we'll have other party members besides Cor that might join me as well. We do get to also see a really cool fancy blindside link with Noctis and Cor here. As we go further, Noctis start heading towards the second tomb, and Cor does leave the party for a bit. Some things of note, we do see Noctis absorbing what looks like frost magic from a test tube here, as well as the gang fighting a giant spider for the second arm. Moving forward a bit, Cor sends the group out after some Imperial soldiers, and we get to see more of wait mode. Now, one thing to note here that I think is kind of cool is wait mode is kind of a way to kind of stop time and look at enemies that are around you, and so the demo player here uses it to pinpoint where the snipers are and actually warp strike them, and that seems to be a pretty good use for it actually. I wouldn't use it all the time as I like sort of the action combat, but I think it is kind of helpful to kind of pause and see, okay, where are those annoying snipers at? And I also noticed that it's kind of easier to see the little sniper beams as well while in wait mode. It also appears that Cor does join your party again to help you take out this giant Imperial machine that's attacking you. We do also see a new sort of Imperial commander. Not sure who this guy is. I don't think he's ever been revealed as who this person's supposed to be, but it's kind of cool to see more commanders. We also get to see Cor's L1 attack, and his is actually worth all 3 bars, and it does a lot of damage. Moving right along, we do go into chapter 3, which is titled the Open World. This seems to be the Duskai region of the game. Now, one thing to note is the gang's actually wearing completely different outfits. This was kind of a shock to me, as I knew we were going to have different outfits in the game, but I didn't realize just how modern and different they look. And I think for some people that could actually be a turnoff, because it's very not Final Fantasy. But overall, I kind of like it. I think it's kind of cool. It definitely fits the modern aesthetic for this game. Noctis and company do end up fighting the behemoth again. Unlike this time, like it was in the demo, you don't use Ramu. You actually are using exploding barrels. Now, one thing to note that I thought was kind of interesting is, in this fight, Noctis is using some kind of like hacksaw, chainsaw, what type weapon? Not sure what this is, but it definitely is very different from any weapon we've seen so far. Once the behemoth is killed and gone, Noctis and company are actually able to finally ride the chocobos. And what's super cool about this, you can actually change chocobo's color. Also, chocobos have levels. I'm not sure what you gain from leveling up your chocobo, or if you'll be able to keep the same one and keep it with you, but we do see that Noctis chocobo is actually level 2 once you start riding it. One thing we also see here as Noctis and company jump into the water, chocobos can swim, oh my god! We also see just more stuff with them like chocobo racing, and more fun stuff like the fishing minigame. Not sure if this is stuff that I'll be doing in the game myself, honestly, but we do see there is some surprisingly real depth to it, as different lores and things actually have their various stats on them. We also see here that if you go back to Hammerhead, Sid will actually be able to upgrade your weapons for you. Now, I'm not really sure how this is going to work, because if you can upgrade weapons, it kind of brings up the question of, well, is it better to upgrade weapons, or is it better to get the royal arms? Because if royal arms are these like story-based weapons that you want to get in the game, are they going to be the strongest weapons in the game, or if you upgrade them, would that be better? Can you even upgrade royal arms? It's kind of hard to say right now. We just see the team take on more monster contracts, and as you kill certain enemies, Ignis will actually come up with new recipes to make based off the ingredients that you guys have. As the demo begins to draw to a close, we do see the gang going to, I believe it's pronounced Listilium, which is the big city of the game, and the gang runs to Iris. Or is it Iris? If you don't know who this character is, I recommend checking out episode 3 of the 15 anime, as it dives into this character more there. But for those of you who don't know, this is actually Gladiola's sister. The gang also hears about a third royal arm, which is behind a waterfall in a cave, so they go and investigate it. Here we get to see a new blindside strike where Gladiolus is actually using a shield. This is one thing we have seen, I didn't mention before, is that the party members can actually equip secondary weapons. They can't hold as many as Noctis can, but they can at least hold a second weapon besides their main one. We also see that the third arm looks something like a bow, which maybe a bow and arrow, which is kind of cool. I didn't think they were gonna have bow and arrows in this game, but we did see, you know, a freaking hacksaw chainsaw thing, so I'm guessing anything is possible. As they return, Noctis has some kind of vision. We aren't shown this vision as it is skipped, but I'm guessing it's something really important to do with the story, and also Titan. As Gladiolus does, so we have to go see Disc. So I'm guessing Titan will be the first summon you get to actually meet in the game. The last scene here is the gang actually running into Arden a second time, and he's offering to take you to go see Titan. So again, it kind of questions what this guy's motivations are. What is he really after? I mean, he's definitely a bad guy, but you know, at this point, he seems to be helping you, so it's kind of hard to say what his ultimate goal really is. And that's it. That's all we have for this gameplay demo. It was a lot of gameplay, and it was really awesome, but there's a lot of new information on there. So I'm just stoked for this game. I just want to play it so bad, and I think it makes the delay hurt even more. But that's all I got for this video, guys. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. I really appreciate that. And I will definitely be doing a playthrough of 15 when it comes out. So look forward to that, and hit subscribe if you want to get updated with the videos for that. But also, let me know in the comments down below if there's anything that you think I missed or you noticed that you wanted me to talk about. I definitely would love to discuss it with you guys. And as always, stay tuned for more videos. See you guys next time.
We in?
I don't know. We take a ride?
But watch our backs.
Fair enough. Let's do it.